Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, recording lady. Hello, and welcome to the Emperor's New Podcast. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, you can't see me because my camera stopped working, but I'm keeping this background up anyways. Um, where we normally talk about the Emperor's New Groove, but sometimes for like April Fools and other things, we talk about things that are adjacent. Sometimes it's a bit of a stretch, but anyways, today we'll be joined by my co-host Shelby Sessler
Hello.
and our special guest Ryan Walterson.
What's up? That line?
And Sam Marchioni.
Eddie. That's the start, folks.
And if you haven't figured it out by these intros and the title of the video and or podcast episode you clicked on, today we're going to be talking about the new Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Yes, we are.
Excellent movie. Excellent movie.
So also, I guess I'll start by saying the stereotypical, what's all your backgrounds with the Looney Tunes?
Absolutely none. I did not have cable growing up, so I never watched Looney Tunes. So I had no idea what was going to happen going into this movie. I've seen the Dover Boys a million times, though.
Yeah.
I had Looney Tunes
The
like
smears.
in the periphery of my childhood, but we were primarily a Disney and Muppets household. Uh, when I got to college, I did watch like a little bit of the Looney Tunes show with like Kristen Wiig and everything. But of course, the big one being from a primarily Disney fanny was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which, features the Looney Tunes gang. And I just have to ask, David Zaslav, did a tune kill your brother? And did he talk just like that?
No, I think it's David Zaslav who talks just like that. Honestly.
I think you're right.
Someone
feels
dropped
right.
the piano on his head.
Ryan, what
And
about
Ryan,
you?
what is your background with Looney Tunes?
Oh, you could say I'm a fan. I mean, I don't know what else to say about them. I like most people, I grew up with them, watched them on television anytime they were on through either compilation shows or through home media releases and VHS and DVD. I and like most people, I feel like my sense of humor and a lot of what inspired me to talk in like a way that to people where like in a certain comedic degree, a lot of that came from Looney Tunes and a lot of it still does. And I'll go back and watch some of the old cartoons and watch a lot of the newer stuff. I mean, you were bringing up the Looney Tunes show, but you also have like some of the newer Looney Tunes stuff, like
Looney
the
Tunes
shorts that
cartoon.
were on Max or some of the other films and
I
specials
think
of.
this movie is based on those shorts, like the aesthetic style,
It pretty much is,
and it's
yeah,
written by or directed by one of the people who worked on it.
yeah. Peter Braungart, the create, that's right, the creator of Uncle Grandpa is responsible for bringing back the Looney Tunes in true form.
Amazing. My background is basically mostly I grew up with stuff that either was inspired by Looney Tunes or Looney Tunes adjacent, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, um, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and obviously Emperor's New Groove is very heavily influenced by Looney Tunes, which is why this is being talked about right on this podcast. I don't think I watched many of the actual Looney Tunes shorts until I was in college and I took an animation 101 class and they showed them a lot to me. And I will say I like the characters and the style of humor, but I think as time goes on and the homages like perfected it really. And I think that this movie also that we're going to talk about perfected it and modernized it in a way that really works more for me than some of the older shorts did. And I don't know why, but but yeah. So this movie, for those who don't know, was going to be apparently it was going to be for either I think maybe both Cartoon Network and what is now referred to as Max originally, which is interesting since one of the jokes really only works if you're seeing it in the theater. But we'll get to that later. But
A good one.
but David Zaslav, is horrible, and so it almost got written off. But then I think like some of the creators or something found a way to shop it to other distributors. So it's still so it's still a movie produced by the Warner Brothers Animation Studio, but it was distributed by a company called Ketchup Entertainment, which I don't know what else they've done.
They've released a few other like indie movies and other stuff that they've acquired. They released the Hellboy movie last year, and I think the year before that they released another surprising theatrical film. They released I don't remember the name of it. It was a Robert Rodriguez movie starring Ben Affleck, released by Ketchup Entertainment.
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Nobody did because apparently it didn't make that much.
Well, people.
Well, I'm
people
a fan of ketchup as a condiment, so I like it.
I'm actually not, but I do like the company. uh,
It's okay. I probably like ketchup enough for the both of us, Micah.
But yeah, so it got theatrically released. It was going to come out on February 28th, but Disney had a big movie coming out that was called Captain America Brave New World. That's what it's called. I had to remember what it was called, with Harrison Ford. And they didn't want to compete with Disney.
I was going to unironically say, what movie?
I used to keep calling it New World Order, and then I had to correct myself.
Well, that's what they originally called it.
I'm glad
and
they
people
changed.
pointed out that's a bad name.
I know.
Especially right now. And then, so they moved it to the week before the Snow White remake instead. But miraculously, it seems to be doing, like, in terms of ratio compared to the budget of the film itself, it seems to be doing better and definitely being better received than the Snow White remake. Even though the Snow White remake's probably making more money.
2 weeks in, it's at about... Well, 2 weeks in, they're about half their budget already.
Yeah. And I think...
It's wild, because I remember... I was actually on vacation in France when the movie initially came out, and I remember seeing a post, I think from the director, saying that it was going to get pulled out of theaters after only a week, and I was like, what? No! I must storm the Bastille over this!
Yeah.
And then, miracle of miracles, it got extended, and I was able to make it back and see it.
Yep.
Good.
I
think everybody should see this movie because it was so inventive, so creative with the way it used animation.
In an era where all the animated movies and remakes that have animation in them are trying way too hard to be realistic, and
cough, cough, Snow White, cough, cough.
Yeah. Not just Snow White, even like the new fully animated Disney stuff. Like, some of those movies are really good, but like, we could take a break from the realism for a little while and have some stuff that's more stylized and cartoony.
And also, like, give our animators time to properly do the stylization, because I'll be spicy and say I don't hate Wish. I might even say I like Wish, but oh boy, was that a victim of studio interference.
Yeah. Well, I said, let's go ahead and start talking about the movie and what we liked about the movie. I will start with Farmer Jim as a whole. I love him.
Yeah.
Oh my god. My theater burst out laughing at his walk
I wasn't ready for that.
Yes, his walk cycle was so good.
Yeah.
I love that he was just like a matte background painting that they moved the lips on. It was so beautiful.
It must have been fun to animate because he's so limited.
I mean, I heard some people say, "Oh, he looks like something out of Ren and Stimpy," but I'm like, yeah, but Ren and Stimpy was already influenced by Looney Tunes, so therefore, it's multiple degrees of inspiration.
Things happen in the order I perceive them, to quote Tony Goldmark.
I saw someone on Facebook, or not on Facebook. I saw someone quoting a review. They were correctly like saying this review is stupid. That complained about there being references to modern technology and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but if you look at the Looney Tunes from the 40s and stuff, and the person who made this review also missaid the Looney Tunes were associated with the 60s, which is really kind of after their golden age.
Yeah.
Not every Looney Tunes cartoon is going to be timeless.
But like what I was going to say, the cartoons in the 30s and 40s were referencing what was popular at that time, so it makes sense that a Looney Tunes thing coming out now would reference what's popular now.
Especially
Yeah, I mean-
the ones directed by Bob Clampett, which is what this and the Looney Tunes cartoons series are taking the most inspiration
Yeah,
of.
and isn't
Especially,
his like granddaughter voice like the lady at the
she is, yeah. Her name, I did see her name.
yeah
Ruth Clampett.
the lady at the lady who gave them the free milkshakes.
Mhm.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, so the movie, I guess, yeah, the movie, the Farmer Jim is basically a guy who is like very limited. It's basically a portrait or a painting, a very detailed painting, and he adopts Porky and Daffy when they're babies, and they grow up together, and that kicks off the plot of them having to fix the hole in the roof of their house, which they don't know was caused by a spaceship crashing into Earth.
Because
I
And-
love all the
hatchaways
birds that
are the
show up.
worst.
I love that they have just birds all over the place. They're not phased by it at all, and they don't
Yeah.
realize that it's because of the hole until
Yeah.
she points
Yeah,
it out.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah.
and of course they lampshade it.
Yes.
Then
Can we also just take a moment right now to shout out Eric Bauza, who's voicing both
He
our
is a-
leads?
yes,
Tour de force. He is one of the greatest voice actors of our generation.
Truly is. I mean, in some, although I will be honest, I love his Daffy. His Daffy is like one of the most spot on. His Porky is great, but just I'm only it only took a little bit of getting used to because I'm so used to Bob Bergen's Porky Pig, and I think and Bob Bergen has been
previous
he has
previous-
been the primary voice of Porky for like damn over 30 years now, and
previous podcast guest Bob Bergen.
Mhm.
exactly, and but I have to say, like Bowser, like he really does great at playing off
I,
himself the same way Mel Blanc and many of
Oh,
the
yeah.
others before him
This-
have.
this is random, but I did make a YouTube poop once where I made Mario say, "Look, it's Eric Bauza."
I love that. Yeah, no, I loved how grounded he was able to make his performances while also being so wacky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He is so insanely good.
And of course the main big bad guy is the guy from Ghostbusters 2 as an alien.
Yes.
Peter McNichol.
Yeah.
Feels so appropriate because he's kind of a tune himself in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I've been
Peter
I've been like a
McNichol-
fan of his comedic performances for years, and like there are moments where whenever he would laugh or scream, I would be like, "Oh, that's the guy from Bean."
I've also seen, making this relevant to the podcast, I've seen people compare the Invader and his style, humor, and animation to Yzma.
Yeah,
There
Yeah.
is a little bit of that in there, especially once we, incorporate the scientist who,
Yeah.
not really on the Kronk level, but
Yeah.
well,
there
it's
is
because
kind of that same energy of.
Well, he
"It's
doesn't
like
have
him
as much
talking to a
dialogue.
monkey."
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't even say that like it's the scientist himself; it's whatever's controlling the scientist.
Yeah. 'Cause
He was so silly.
basically
I-
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say I love how his initial animation is so like this is the most handsome man in the world, and then they just make him look so goofy when he's possessed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
The alien's evil plan is to infect this new bubblegum flavor with some alien life form of some kind that turns people into zombies. So he can, take over the world and take the Earth's most precious resource, which I won't get into what that is yet. So that's the
I
plot.
I kind of knew that had to be something because it kind of reminded me of Phineas and Ferb's Candace Against the Universe.
Yeah.
Has
Also
a similar
aliens.
little plot thing.
And no, people, just because this is a Looney Tunes movie with aliens, a certain Martian does not show up, and it made
Yeah.
me very angry. Actually, it didn't.
It was kind of impressive that they didn't, succumb to the temptation to have other members of the gang
Yeah.
pop
Yeah.
in, like even for
all
Yeah.
the references to other Looney Tunes characters were actually like really obscure ones. Like
Very.
Yeah.
Father Jim is actually a character from. He doesn't look as painterly as he does in the movie, but he is a character from like a Tom Thumb cartoon. Gabby Goat is briefly mentioned. There's a coffee place that's named after Beans, who's like a really old, obscure character. Um, yeah, I like that that was mainly the two, and then all mostly new or more obscure characters. Um, I did see someone who made the typical mistake of thinking a female version, a female counterpart to a famous character from the Golden Age was a new character that was invented to make the movie more woke, which is always annoying
No,
that people think that.
no.
Hilarious take.
Ignorance.
I have no idea of Petunia's initial characterization before all this, but like I think it's not just that it's she's a girl version of Porky. It's that she's competent.
Yeah,
And that's
She's
something
so competent.
Yeah, I mean,
And
her
also, I
personality has varied in other appearances, especially depending on who's voicing her. Like in the Looney Tunes cartoon, she's voiced by Lara Jill Miller, has more of a New York type of vibe to her. In the Looney Tunes cartoon, the new Looney Tunes, like the ones that used to be called Wabbit, she's voiced by your girl Melina, Jessica DeChico, and she gives her more of like a ditzy, very motor mouth, constantly talking personality. Here, she's voiced by the great Candy Milo, and they make her a science nerd.
Yeah,
She's
like a
so
very
cute.
likable, very quirky science nerd.
well, they make her
adorable.
they make her an adorable, smart, competent lady character. So obviously, very appealing.
And it's a great intro gag, like
Oh yes.
the
Yeah.
stereotypical, she's gorgeous, and then we see that she actually looks the way people look when they come out of the rain.
Yeah.
Completely unfazed too. It's so cute.
Yeah,
I love her little her little shuffle onto the chair.
Yeah.
Everything about that is so cute.
So
Yeah.
cute.
And then Daffy he's set the joke setting up that Daffy's gonna be like a wingman, but he's actually asking for the pie for Porky.
Absolutely fantastic setup and execution.
It's one of those
Great
jokes.
example of a joke for the parents and for the kids.
It was a joke that I saw coming, but like in the best way, Like I was very satisfied that it was the joke that I saw coming. And Gray Delisle plays the HOA type lady, I guess, who is the one who makes them realize the roof has been in their house this whole time. The hole has been in their
Wait,
roof.
I thought that was Lorraine
Yes.
Newman.
It's Lorraine Newman.
Oh, it is. Oh, I did not know that. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I was
easy
thinking
to
that didn't
think,
sound like Gray.
Okay. Sorry, my brain. Actually, I didn't know. She's a very caricatured, lady. She's kind of a secondary antagonist in a way.
I love her little footsteps. Like she just pitter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a great thing.
So good. All those secondary characters, they are so like over the top that it was so delightful to see. Like the mayor was great.
If
She
I had
was
a nickel for
great.
every Looney Tunes
great.
movie where Wayne Knight was a character.
That's the closest connection you'll have to like where's the basketball? Hey, it's got Wayne Knight.
Well, but Wayne Knight was born to play like cartoon characters, basically.
He
He
always
wasn't
has.
a cartoon character in Space Jam. He was just Wayne Knight.
Well,
Which
he was computer
Wayne Knight
generated
is-
at one point.
Yeah.
Okay. So he
For
was
the-
a cartoon,
for the-
but he was himself as a cartoon.
For the DeviantArt scene, right?
Oh God.
That's what I think of when I see something like that. I think, oh no, they found the DeviantArt people.
1996 inflation.
Because Wayne Knight was in Tarzan. Well, he's in probably his most famous animated role is in Toy Story 2.
Yeah, the Chicken Man.
Yeah, Al
It's
McWiggin.
the Chicken Man.
And
Which
go
literally-
on to be Zurg in the Buzz Lightyear cartoon.
Yeah, which is literally Wayne Knight. Al McWiggin is literally Wayne Knight as a cartoon.
Mhm.
And what else do I want to talk about? There were lots of good, keeping in line with the theme of things that remind me of Emperor's New Groove. There's lots of good fourth wall gags in the movie.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I always love in a movie when like characters, because they did this in the original Muppet movie. Characters like need to be brought up to date on what's going on, so the character just gives them the script. I
Yeah.
always find that funny.
Yes.
Oh, that was a great joke. Like Mel Brooks has used that too. Like that's one of my favorite moments in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
And there was the aforementioned joke where when this was in one of the trailers, so I don't think it's a major spoiler. Even though I'm probably going to do spoilers anyways because I don't know. I'll put a wording in the description.
Spoiler alert! They're loony, very loony.
And
yeah,
Tony.
they
Not tiny.
the joke I was mentioning where I don't know if this joke was a thing when they were working on it on streaming or if they added it later because it doesn't really work on streaming or on television, where a guy in the audience stands up and complains about the movie, which is like a Tex Avery type joke. I mean, Tex Avery and some
classic like 40 style joke.
Cartoons did that a
Yeah.
lot. And it happens pretty late into the movie too. It happens pretty late into the movie too, so it's like
It does. It's like
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through the movie.
so I like probably we'll talk about like just all the sci-fi movies this reminded me of, and probably mostly intentionally. There was a bit of the Thing in there with the flamethrower, which I know that the Thing didn't invent flamethrowers, but when I think of flamethrowers attacking amorphous alien creatures, I think of the Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, I was talking about this with Sam before everyone else came in. Think that this is a better Chicken Little movie than Chicken Little. I mean, it's about a poultry that nobody believes that is trying to convince people that or in this case mostly Porky, that aliens are invading the Earth. And there's a scene where the aliens attack and it's the end of the world plays, which also
I was
happens.
getting deja vu during that.
And
Yeah.
I feel fine.
Yeah.
That started playing and I got so excited.
Yeah.
The action sequences were so well done in this movie.
And I
They
learned
really
something.
were.
I learned something that I didn't know, which I learned about the Powerhouse sequences in old Looney Tunes. This is a Powerhouse sequence, and I didn't know what that was until I heard about it on the internet. There's a scene where they're working the factory, and there's a lot of Art Deco, and the music they play is called like
Yes.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was like honestly a Pink Elephants on Parade kind of thing.
It is inspired by that,
classic-
but
It's a
But it's
classic
also-
piece of music used throughout not
But the
just
music
old Looney
is-
Tunes cartoons, but if anyone watched Cartoon Network like late 90s, early 2000s, that was the music always used in the bumpers.
yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Um,
Yeah, that sequence was really pretty. The way that they just use different types of animation in this movie, like every possible type of animation, was it was beautiful. It was
and
just
there is
gorgeous.
this scene that is just a Looney Tunes short, basically in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh.
shot at like a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it literally like starts with a title card and just goes on from there.
Yeah, where they're trying to find
Which is like
jobs.
great exposition. Like
Yeah.
such a great way to deliver that exposition.
Because they're trying to find jobs to raise money so they can fix the hole in the roof that was mentioned before. And this is before this is before Daffy finds the scientist guy dumping the alien stuff into the vat of bubblegum. Do factories that make bubblegum really have giant vats like that?
No, not like that. They have multiple vats, not just
Yeah.
one big one.
Yeah, I figured, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's simplified.
And that's when the conspiracy happens, and he tries to convince Porky, and Porky's annoyed because this whole time, mostly Daffy has been screwing things up by being loony. I'd like that Daffy, like, a big characterization of Daffy, a lot of the later / more recent stuff, has been that he's kind of like an egocentric jerk. I like that he wasn't really that in this. He was just weird and crazy.
Yeah.
Which is more so how he was during the Bob Clampett days. It was when Chuck Jones would usually do Daffy that he would be the egotist and the the bitter rival because Bugs Bunny became more popular than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely is something where the absence of Bugs is definitely affecting this, because my primary experience with the Looney Tunes is just Daffy making Porky miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how they were just kind of brothers and he was just sort of oblivious to any
Yeah.
pain he was causing Porky. Like, you could palpably feel that anxiety of like, I should say something if I'm uncomfortable, but I don't know how to voice it. Like,
Yeah.
you could feel that from Porky so viscerally through this movie.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, this is a big criticism of Space Jam, is that they misunderstand the Looney Tunes because they treat them all like a family. I think that's a big reason I like this better, is because the Looney Tunes are all, in the cartoons, a lot of them are at each other's throats, so they kept it to characters that logically already have worked together and been friends at times in the cartoons, rather than trying to either force all of them to get along in ways that don't make sense, or try to make the entire cartoon a bunch of characters being at each other's throats the entire time, which I don't know that I could tolerate for 90 minutes.
Exactly,
No.
and that's the thing when it's like a different incarnation. It's like the different writers and different animators will have their own point of view of like,
Yeah.
I think I think Daffy would act like this, or I think Porky would act like this, but the characters are so well established over the years that you still have to put them in a certain way.
Yeah. So
And
they,
another thing they just
Of course.
do was like, they do have these great moments. Like, there's a specific moment that gets set up initially in like the growing up montage with Farmer Jim, and then it comes back to be a part of a big conflict, and I'm like, wait a second, are they going to acknowledge it? And then they do acknowledge it, and it's funny. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the fact that Daffy lays eggs.
Yeah, I
This
was
might
gonna-
be
Yes.
illegal.
bring them. Yeah. And
I like that they bring it back and then they bring it back again with a punchline.
yeah.
Because they bring it back, they're like, you're gonna lay all the eggs. And then he comes back and he goes, you know how hard it is for a male duck to lay eggs? It's so it's like a great rule of threes way to use that,
Yeah.
and I just didn't expect them to bring it back around to a third punchline.
I love they do acknowledge that. Like I remember thinking back to like the Looney Tunes show. There's like an episode where like Daffy and Porky are in the woods, and Porky's like, "Oh, you can't fly, you can't swim. Are you even a duck? I don't know. The thing comes off real easily. He easily takes off his bill."
Yeah. I also like when they were. I like that how Farmer Jim like just walks away and then fades into the sky.
Clouds.
That
Does
was
a full Mufasa.
And later he comes back like Mufasa, basically.
All of the Farmer Jim jokes were so beautiful. Like, I love Farmer. I think that was my favorite part, was any time Farmer Jim showed back up.
Yeah. And so they find out. So Petunia Pig works for the gum factory, which is making a new commercialized gum she doesn't like. She has a whole rant about prepackaged things we've already seen being prepackaged and marketed as new, and are like, are you doing what I think you're doing, Warner Brothers, or not Warner Brothers, the writers of this movie? And we learn that so she's testing to find a new flavor, and one of the things she uses is rotten egg extract, and we find out that makes people gag, so they use it to make all the people who are chewing the gum spit up their gum so they're not being controlled anymore. And that's when the montage with like the flamethrower and stuff starts.
and the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
Which that's one thing I wanted to bring up was I was surprised at some of the needle drops in this, like not just because I was like, oh, they could afford to play this song, but the fact that each time they did, it really matched the scene perfectly.
One of my
They
I love
weren't just picking All Star for no reason. Like, it fit the scene.
Yeah.
the end of the world section is my favorite for the like action and stuff, but my favorite for laughs is when they played Everything I Do, or whatever it's called.
Right?
that
Yeah,
one-
the Bryan
Yeah.
Adams song.
Like, not a song that I'm like a super big fan of, but within the context of the scene, I just thought it was funny to have that there.
Agreed. And even like the beginning when they were like during the opening montage of Daffy and Porky's childhood when they were playing like Mr. Baseman, I was like, yeah, I know that song.
Also, I just love that this movie has opening credits because you don't really see those a lot anymore.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
It's a
opening
great
credits are kind of a lost art.
It's a great way to give people credit where they're due before the movie even starts, and also establish exposition, and also fill in the time that you need to get like a 90-minute runtime.
I'd say it also is like a nice nod to earlier days when they did do those. Like
Yeah.
these were popular when they did do before the show credits.
Yeah. And I can say "and" a lot. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yes, and
Yeah.
Yes, and this is all a big improv activity. I also really liked the other action sequence where they were being chased by the chewing gum monster.
Yeah.
Just like in the basement, because there were just some wonderful expressions from all three of them. And like so often when you see like a female version of a character, like quote unquote, like when you see like, oh, it's just the girl pig, they try to like treat that character differently, but they let her be just as crazy and silly as the other two. And it was kind of just refreshing to see.
Yeah. Well, I love it when there's a character that's like, sort of fits into this archetype, but also is free to be just as, it's fit into the straight
As silly
man,
and goofy as everybody
serious
else.
archetype, but also has moments where they are also, wacky and silly and fit with the tone.
The moment of, well, it's a good thing about the shatterproof glass, and she rattles off a statistic and it's like, but that's not shatterproof glass after the glass shatters.
It's so good. So well timed.
I was impressed like how they weren't afraid to make the stuff with the alien gum like that scene kind of creepy but still comical.
I was gonna say the gum monster like in the tube, which kind of made me think of the extraterrestrial alien encounter, which I've never been to. I just know of it because I'm a nerd and I have the internet. Because it was an alien in a tube, and that's what I think when I think of aliens in tubes. I like that it was kind of it was kind of scary.
Title, Alien in a Tube.
It was kind of scary or creepy looking. The design was kind of creepy, but in a way that was still cartoony. It had very. I don't know I want to say body horror, but I feel like that's more the zombies than anything.
Just say grotesque.
It has a grotesque. It has like weird.
Yeah.
Its body parts are in weird places or weird. Like it's a ball gum with like an eyeball and like jaws and like tentacles, basically. The scariest scene was at the climax, probably, because the Petunia Pig zombie thing was probably the scariest part.
Which a movie that can combine scares with Looney Tunes type humor. What other Warner Brothers movie has done that?
Are you talking about a movie that might have had a sequel that literally had a Looney Tune in it?
From a guy who also directed a Looney Tunes movie, I believe so.
Yeah. I always find that funny because in that movie, like it's just like is the idea in Gremlins 2 that it's supposed to be a short that's playing before the movie, but then it gets ruined, so Daffy just like, just play the movie already or something.
Yeah, and plus Joe Dante was really good friends with Chuck Jones because he's in the first Gremlins 2 as like Billy's art friend.
Yeah. And they should just make a Gremlins Looney Tunes movie.
I'm surprised they haven't. Although I don't know if it's still in the works. I
there
hear there
be a
might
Scooby Doo one.
They might be doing a Scooby Doo Gremlins crossover.
I would love that. Really? I love anything Scooby.
They'll keep Scooby Doo around and not let the movie be 90% completed, and then shove it in a vault for a tax write off.
I don't know.
I don't know. They turned a Scream cartoon into a Scooby Doo cartoon and called it good.
There was
it's funny because Warner Brothers, they're not distributing this movie in theaters, but they still have to market in some way. Hey, we'll put the trailer on our WB Kids channel. We'll put our Wonder Town Records label on the soundtrack because we'll acknowledge that we made it, but we won't acknowledge that we made it.
I
Of
actually
course.
I actually kept seeing commercials for it on the Rivals network on Disney Channel and
Oh,
Disney
oh,
XD.
oh, boo. I'm just sorry. I'm
See,
looking at the Wikipedia and I'm finding out that they did have a release in Los Angeles in 2024 so that they could be eligible for Best Animated Feature at the 2024 awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Come
animation
on, man.
festival, which
You could have done 2025, but
it
So
could have, but at
that was
least
when
yeah.
I think that was when Tony saw it. Was
yeah,
yeah.
Tony and Kit, friends of the show, they saw it.
You know,
Even
I
Andre Meadows, the black nerd, he saw it at that same festival too, and he's brought that up in his video.
I saw no trailers for this. My only knowledge that this existed was I saw a couple posts online of people sitting in empty theaters saying, "Go see this movie." Um,
Yeah.
and then Micah said, "Go see this movie," so I went and saw it. I didn't know what it was going to be about. The title, I was like, I don't get this title. It doesn't make me want to see it. But I don't think they could have picked a better title because it's like a triple entendre.
yeah.
Yeah,
And they name drop it at once, so you can do the Peter Griffin thing or the roll credits thing.
Yeah.
He said it.
Um, I don't know what the title. I think the title makes the most sense because they name drop it. I feel like if they did a name drop it, that would. And I did do the Peter Griffin thing because there were only a few people in the theater, and most of them were in on it. So
There was surprisingly a few people in my theater when I went to see it, and I saw it at an afternoon showing because during spring break last week
Yeah.
the opening weekend only had matinee showings, like no late night showings, and
most of what I see is
it was a
matinee.
decent audience overall, and everyone was laughing at the right
Yeah,
moments.
yeah. There were a
Oh
dozen or
yeah.
so people in my theater, and they all had a really good time. Um,
Yeah, there were two families in the theater with me in the two rows in front of me. Everybody was enjoying it.
yeah.
I saw it
Yeah.
with my mom, and she loved it.
I saw
Oh,
it with
good.
myself.
I
My
loved mine
theater-
too. I saw it with myself and I loved it.
Yeah, my theater wasn't all the way full, but it was pretty full. And,
Oh.
there were some good, big, hearty laughs. And, people even stayed all the way for the end credits, which worth doing because
Yeah.
I was the only one that stayed for the end credits. It was worth it though.
I don't understand people who do that, who still leave during them in a post MCU era.
Yeah, I give them looks
I-
like sometimes like you have
feel
to
like at this point, regardless of your feelings on the MCU, I feel like the MCU has made waiting in the credits a thing people should be standard knowing. Like I've seen people leave during the credits of MCU movies. I'm like, the internet talks about this all the time that the MCU always has something during the credits, and after the
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah,
So
I think what happened was other movies stopped doing it, so people kind of got out of the habit because also MCU movies have been getting kind of sporadic
yeah,
because now the big thing is Disney Plus.
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I'll forgive the people in my theater because they did have between the two families probably about 8 kids.
oh my lord.
Oh,
no kids in
And
my
I know that I had to pee the entire second half of the movie, so I can't imagine that those kids could have held it too much longer.
Yeah. This was even before the MCU. I always got annoyed when people would leave during the credits because movies before the MCU did not invent the idea of mid or post credit scenes. Those were being done before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the credits are beautiful too because you get all
Yeah.
of the you get all of
the concept sketches.
all the
art,
sketches.
the concept art, yeah.
Gorgeous.
And it's a great credit sequence. They
And you-
clearly made everything with love.
And you get to see a tiger.
You do get to see a tiger.
It's
Uh,
interesting, because Warner Brothers didn't want anything really to do with this, even though their animation studio made it. But at the same time, just a few months ago, Warner Brothers themselves proudly released the Lord of the Rings anime to theaters, and that did at box office and critically wise, but so it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like, okay, we'll release one hand-drawn animated film, but we'll give the other one with the face of our company to a different set of people.
The one that ends up doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know what I was going to say. I was thinking of something, but I lost my train of thought or whatever you call it. I like.
Well, I'll ask a question to everyone.
Yeah.
Besides Eric Bauza giving a tour de force, did anybody else have a favorite character of like the side crew, like a favorite performance?
But I mean, we brought up Peter McNichol. I thought his delivery in several scenes was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on if we're counting Petunia Pig as a side character or as one of the main characters.
Yeah,
I'd argue she's a
Candy
main
Milo was
character.
great.
She
Yeah.
I think
shows
she's a
up a
main
little
character, but
later.
I'm just saying, like, apart from Eric Bauza, any character
yeah.
that's not Eric Bauza,
Oh yeah,
Petunia
probably.
counts.
Okay, Petunia Big because that's just the kind of character I like.
And shout out to Fred Tatasciore, who does double duty as both the scientist and Farmer
And
Jim.
Farmer Jim! Yes, he was my favorite performance, obviously. I like that he was pulling
Yeah.
double duty.
Double duty.
Honestly, like, I don't think anybody in this game a bad performance, but like there are some fun things, like Carlos Alazraqui doing the news anchor, like such a small bit, and yet he played it perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's somebody who I mainly know from Crocker on Fairly Odd Parents.
I know him because he was Rocco.
And on Reno 911, and Winslow from Cat Dog, among others.
I did grow up with Fairly Odd Parents, but I grew up with, or didn't grow up. I was a child. I was very young. Rocco first. Might have been too young for Rocco, but I watched it anyways.
I think we were all too young for Rocco and most of the Nicktoons, because, like, you know.
Those early 90s to mid 90s tunes were a little scary. I don't know if we were ready for Courage or for Rocco at that age.
I wasn't even allowed to watch Courage or Rocco. Like,
but there's
out of all this cast, like, I mainly knew Candy Milo from Witch, the JetX series where she voiced Irma.
Oh yeah.
I mainly know her from Twitter. No, I mainly know her. She's not there anymore. But I mean, I mainly know her personally from Twitter. No, I mainly know her from probably from most well know her from My Life as a Teenage Robot. That's the name of it. You know the show your guy that you're all friends with created
with Rob Rossetti. Yeah. I could have sworn listening to her, I was like, that sounds like Jessica Chichico, but it wasn't. I was like, it's Candy Milo.
She did play her in a different.
Yeah, in
Which
the
makes sense.
new
When you said that,
Looney
I was like,
Tunes, aka Wabbit.
I was like, well, of course she did, because it's like it fits so perfectly in her vocal range. But yeah,
and she is
Candy's
somebody
voice
who's been
so
like
cute.
She's been somewhat of a permanent member of the Looney Tunes voice roster, also because she's been the voice of Granny and Witch Hazel since the passing.
Yeah,
of
Candy Milo. Yep.
I love
I remember
that.
Candy Milo was because I remember she was in Granny had a big role in. I did see this in the theaters mostly because I just wanted to see the 2D animation. Space Jam 2, so I remember Candy Milo was her in that.
Space Jam
that
2.
Matrix parody.
So
I also just want to give Candy a shout out for being able to effectively do the Porky stutter in time with Eric Bauza.
That was impressive.
Like, I did it in the opening bit,
so
but that's a hard.
We did get an explanation for how Porky got his stutter at the beginning of the movie.
Yes!
Oh my god, poor Porky.
Yeah, I do love it when like things that are older IPs do that, where they have a thing that explains something that became famous. The IP became famous for. Also, I like that Petunia and Porky have different. Petunia only does it when she's nervous. Porky just does it in general.
Mm-hmm.
I like that differentiation between them.
Yeah.
And then
what a fun movie.
and then in the third act, it turns into Armageddon, basically.
Except less cartoony.
I don't have a soundboard to do a rim shot or anything. I'm sorry.
I guess you'll have
Honestly-
to add it in post if you can.
Honestly, the solution they come up with is more believable than the Armageddon movie.
Well, that's just what's gonna happen in 2032. We're just gonna have to send a duck and a pig into the asteroid. So
Duck and a pig.
there's an asteroid coming in 2032 that at first they said was probably gonna hit the Earth. Now they're saying it's not. And when they started saying it's less likely to hit the Earth, a bunch of people on social media were like disappointed because they're so upset about the state of things. I'm like, no, it's not that. I mean, it is terrible, but not to the point that I'm wishing for everyone to die. You know?
Boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Like people on the internet are like, yeah, it's bad, but like, no, I don't want an asteroid to hit the Earth because then things can get better. I mean, it's theoretically possible things could get better if everyone dies. There's no anything getting better.
So anyway, Looney Tunes.
Yeah. So the novelty chatter teeth.
Yes. Well, I also like that the whole movie, the conflict between Porky and Daffy is that, like, Daffy's ideas are so wild and so out there that it ends up messing up the situation. And so, like, the solution to the problem was just to let him go wild. And I love that because right before that, he's like, I'm going to embrace calm. I'm going to embrace... I'm really good at pulling levers. You guys go have fun. You do your thing. And then they're like, nah, man.
Oh yeah,
Just go hit everything with a hammer.
Another
That was his
connection.
own bit of gripe.
Levers. This movie has a character who pulls levers in it.
Levers. So many levers in this movie.
Yeah. But this time the character who
and he
smashes.
smashes with a
I was
hammer.
gonna say the same character who smashes things with a hammer and the character who pulls the lever are the same character in this movie, though.
Exactly.
Yes, you're correct.
How many nickels are we up to at this point? I want to know if I can buy a stick of that super
I think we're-
strawberry gum.
Oh, you only
I
need one
think we're on
nickel
the
for
amount
that,
that-
remember?
We're on the amount that Ketchup Entertainment spends marketing.
That's the amount they probably had in
That's
the budget.
I was going to say the amount that's in the piggy bank, but
Yeah.
was like
Yeah, apparently
$2.75.
Fun fact I learned from I think TV Tropes. Apparently that piggy bank was actually in a old Looney Tunes cartoon.
It was. It's the one from the Duck Tracy short. The Great
Aw.
Piggy Bank Robbery. One of the best.
Honestly, I'm just relieved that in all their attempts to get money, they didn't like try to do an NFT or anything.
No,
Yeah.
they're above
Not that I've
that.
seen.
Like the influencer bit does kind of date the movie, but only because the trends are weird. Like we're all remember when like Kofefe was a thing for like 3 months and then
Yeah.
Kofefe was gone.
And then COVID happened, and that was weird.
I mean, I will say
Well-
with that scene, when this movie comes to digital, I'm going to use that part where it goes cancel. I'm gonna love seeing that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
That's
that.
gonna
I
be
feel
the
like
internet's favorite gif.
I feel like that the trendy influencer thing that's been like around for like a decade now, or not a decade.
Yeah, I don't think that
Yeah, about a decade.
influencers are going to go anywhere. And it wasn't a reference to like a specific meme. So I don't
Yeah.
think that it's going to necessarily date it. It's just silly. It's so
Yeah.
It's no
silly.
different from like when you see an older Looney Tunes cartoon or even like a Looney Tunes movie or show make a modern reference because it's like Looney Tunes, they always have to adjust to the times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
and it's not a
Yeah,
period
it's-
piece, so
Yeah, I guess it's just that this movie was much more focused on Daffy Duck's ass than I expected.
I
mean,
expected it.
that might be what is going to date the film because everybody's really into ass right now. He got that cake.
But they in one of the trailers they did show the scene where like Porky was like fill in all the cracks, and then Daffy Duck like he's not wearing any feathers on his butt.
Yeah,
That was in the trailer. So I expected it to be about Daffy's ass.
The cartoon logic of Daffy can take off his feathers and then grow them back
They're just like
wild.
clothes. It's like
I mean, again,
pants or
his
something.
bill just can come off.
Yeah. I think, and I said this before, but since we're recording, I'll let the world know. I think if this does really well, I think Disney should take note, and for 2028, well, right now they should greenlight a Mickey Mouse feature film that's 2D animated to have out by 2028 for his 100th birthday.
I want a Paul Rudish movie. Can we get a Paul Rudish short movie?
You can get those people involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Balls in your court, Bob.
Bob. All the Bob. There's too many Bobs.
Yeah,
Too
right
many
now
Roberts.
the only thing Bob has going for him really is that he's not David.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up my theory that David Zaslav had to kill his brother.
I still think David Zaslav is Judge Doom. That's just my theory.
I think he's Judge Doom because he's currently in the process of killing so many toons.
Yeah.
Many
and
toons.
Muppets, because even Sesame Street is off the hook from them.
He probably considers that
Didn't
the
they
same.
just take Looney Tunes? Didn't they just
Off
take
Max,
Looney Tunes
yeah.
off Max
And
recently?
I read the reason Sesame Street and Looney Tunes allegedly are taken off is because David Zaslav wants to focus more on family entertainment, which that's like, yeah, Looney Tunes and
That makes no
Sesame
sense.
Street are family, and adult entertainment instead of children's entertainment. Well, first of all, Looney Tunes has never been strictly for children. Sesame Street is for children, but it's always had the periphery of adults in mind.
And part of the reason that they wanted to put Sesame Street on Max to begin with is so they could put like well over 200 classic episodes from way back in the day, from like the 70s to the 90s, and they just remove all of those. Just screw it.
So, what do you think about the reveal that I guess I'll bring this up now, that the precious resource is boba tea?
That might date it a little bit, but I agree with him
a little bit. But
well, it was worth it for seeing the animation of his face saying boba.
I do appreciate they did foreshadow it. They did have him sucking on a cup with a straw.
Yeah.
I just love in the background when he's like, everybody, boba's on me, and you hear somebody in the background go, "It does taste like a ball of spit."
I
had a drink at Disney World, I think, in their Avatar area in Animal Kingdom. It's a weird thing to say exists. And it was like sour candy flavored, but I think it had like boba at the bottom or something. But the little boba balls.
Okay.
That was the first time I ever had boba, and I think the only time I ever had it. It was interesting. They melt in your mouth.
I like
boba. Tastes like the clone of a Mandalorian bounty hunter.
You gotta have it in something that's like more milky based because it really complements the flavor nicely.
I think because
it's a tapioca flavor.
God bless the plastic bottle.
It was kind of like don't want to say a shake, but it was like more milky with like a topping that tasted like sour gummy worms.
Yeah, the sour candy that I had like a chocolate milk kind of tea one with it, and it tasted really good with the boba.
And he has a giant golden statue of the boba, not Boba Fett, the drink.
Boba.
Yeah, the way he said boba, that might have gotten like the biggest laugh out of me.
And it's like
Peter
like all the jokes in this movie, you don't really expect them.
Yeah, and the ones there are some I expected, but I'm glad they went the way I was expecting them. I only expected them because I also write comedy, so I'm very familiar with the structure of gags and stuff. But that was one I did not know what it was going to be, and I knew as soon as he said the resource.
I thought it was just going to be soda.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be something ridiculous, because why wouldn't it be?
But I think it was, and here's the big spoiler, the fact that he was trying to save the planet, not steal the planet. That
or
was
destroy the planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of what?
Well, that was kind of the fun twist because, like,
Yeah, that was the twisty twist. I did not see that coming.
yeah.
Well,
Neither did
I think it's funny. Well, so like boba tea is called bubble tea, and
Yeah.
he tried to do a big bubble around the earth. So I think it's funny. He's like, I like the earth. I'm drinking bubble tea. A bubble's how we'll save the world. Like, and I
Yeah.
love that he's
Now-
not trying to.
I need a prequel now. How did he discover boba tea? Like,
On
Did he
vacation.
get
He
it
just
fr-
came to
did he
Earth
get
on
it from the
vacation
Martian
and got it
Manhunter?
and was like, dang, this is good. This is good stuff.
Well, how does he speak English?
I do like this
Universal
movie.
translator.
This movie kind of has the reverse of a twist villain in it.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
is fun.
It's a twist.
And it explains
twist
too,
hero.
like, you know, he's like, I'm going to show them like my superior intellect, and okay, we get it. It's just
And it is hilarious that
Saving
this guy who's trying to save the Earth is like acting in this very villainous manner and doing all these. He never just bothers to just explain that he's trying to save the Earth.
No.
Because then we wouldn't have a movie.
But also, it wouldn't be as funny. And then there's a post-credit scene where they do the thing that they have to do because it's a Looney Tunes, and then Daffy says that can't be all. We gotta leave it open for a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Or a prequel.
Or
Let's have a
both.
prequel
Both is good.
Of the
I'll take it.
invader
I'll take both.
and his adventures with Boba.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate twist though at the end where he was like Farmer Jim reappears and says, "Look on the back of our picture." Woo! And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, insurance policy lit." Nice.
Alien
Love it.
alien destruction by aliens included. Covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
better check my own renter's insurance policy. Am I covered for that?
I think Farmer Jim might have gotten that specially written into it, which is why it was such a high payout. They were like, "That's never gonna happen."
He's more
It
powerful
is-
than we think.
It is.
Yes.
It is kind of refreshing to get like a movie with such a wacky tone where it just ends with the main characters like set and just like getting what like everything perfect for them basically.
Yeah.
That house at the end was pretty lit.
Because like
It was pretty great.
a lot of comedies like they try to like not do that. A lot of comedies like things like have to go wrong for the characters at the end, or they have to not, or maybe they have to learn a lesson and they have to, which like is fine sometimes. But in this, there wasn't. The only lesson to learn was to let Daffy be himself. There wasn't like a big.
Well, take care of each other, love each
Yeah.
other, and accept
Yeah.
each other for who you are, which
Yeah.
is a great lesson.
It's a great
They
lesson.
did
but
let
it's
us think they were dead for a lot longer than I thought they were going to.
yeah.
It was like, oh dang,
Oh,
it's like
also-
gone 5 minutes. And
Also a better movie where they try to make you think a Looney Tunes character, in this case two Looney Tunes characters, died, and then Space Jam 2.
yeah,
That's the
And there's an
stuff.
actual explanation in this one, whereas there isn't in Space Jam 2. He just comes back and it's like, well, I'm a cartoon. What do you expect? They're like, but the whole point was you were saying even a cartoon could die from this. And it's like, make up your mind, movie.
make it up, make it up.
But yeah, I liked they survived, and that was like, I like that they survived even the asteroid just being completely obliterated. They survived on that one chunk of it.
Yeah, and I liked that fixed Petunia's arc too. With
Yeah.
her, like, she was like, "Oh, all that it needed was a little bit of asteroid." It's like,
Yeah.
yes, love that for you, girl. You're right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have found that anywhere else.
Yep.
Congratulations on your gum, and may Willy Wonka never hear about you.
Yes, I don't think this is a universe where he exists, thankfully.
It's not Tom and Jerry. I mean,
It's not even the Paul King Wonka.
No Timothy Chalamet in this universe.
no, and no Adam Sandler going around saying Chalamet.
Hey, Chalamet.
So yeah, so that's. I don't know if I have anything else to say.
is just
Uh,
amazing. Everybody go
yeah.
see this movie.
Yeah,
Go
well,
see it,
see it while you
especially
can. It's still expanding showtimes and locations, and just support this movie so we can.
support 2D animation.
Yeah, and
Uh,
speaking of, because Ketchup Entertainment, who's releasing this in theaters, they are trying really hard to buy the distribution rights to Coyote versus Acme. So
Oh
knock
my
on.
gosh, yes, please. Because I need to see that
Please.
desperately. And like, I
Yeah.
don't know, this is a world we live in where writers' jobs, animators' jobs, and voice actors' jobs are being threatened by what AI is capable of. And right now, AI is not really capable of all that much, but even Alex Hirsch has said that the writers' room has shrunk because of AI writers. Like that's something that's already happening in the world we live in. And so to have a movie like this that is so creative and such a beautiful celebration of animation and is so well written and so well acted, like we got to support that.
yeah, great.
Because the most we get from hand-drawn animation as far as theatrical, it's either from a foreign country like Japan with anime, or it's a TV adaptation like with the Bob's Burgers movie.
I wish Disney would
Yeah.
do more. I honestly wish Disney would do theatrical adaptations of their television animation movies. They don't.
I
They
would
the
I
last
wish
I would
they
kill
did
for a
too, yeah.
DuckTales movie.
the last DuckTales reboot movie.
Yes, specifically
The
a DuckTales
the
reboot movie.
because there was a DuckTales movie, but
Yeah,
It
the
wasn't
last
very good, I will
no
say.
the
It
last
was there
I
too
would
many
have loved to
frames.
have a Tiana movie. Oh wait.
womp womp.
the last theatrically released Disney television animation adaptation was Teacher's Pet, and that was over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Oh
apparently the
gosh.
Phineas and Ferb Cross the Second Dimension, I think, got theatrically released in like Brazil.
yeah, and there were talks for years about there being a Phineas and Ferb theatrical movie, but I don't think that's happening anymore.
No,
Um,
well, I mean, maybe depending on how this reboot is, we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Disney is releasing a. I mean, it's not in their house, but they are releasing a Bluey movie. Although I think the Bluey movie is supposed to be computer
yeah, I think
animated
it's
as opposed to
CGI.
like, yeah, which I mean, I'm not opposed as long as it still has the charm and
Bluey,
writing of Bluey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will because I watched the Big City Greens made for TV movie, and that's a movie that feels like it was made to be in theaters and not on television, just from like the scope of it
Yeah.
and the animation and everything. Anyways, back to this. Go see the
Yeah.
movie. Does anyone have anything they want to plug?
I am the host of 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. Think you know a movie that might be connected to Star Wars? Come check us out. We are available wherever pods are cast.
You can look for my name, Ryan Walterson, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Discord, the usual places, seeing whatever I'm doing at the moment in this point in time.
Mystery Shack Look Back, always go check that out. I have a episode that I worked on that is super secret and you have to decode things to find it, but I spent like 2 weeks editing it, so please go watch it if you can find it. Or you can message me and I'll send you a link, but don't tell anybody. Maybe we reverse that little bit. Or some but yeah, that's mainly I'm working on stuff for our Patreon because we've got a Patreon for Mystery Shack Look Back too.
Right. You can find me on. I'll go ahead and plug a project I'm working on. Right now, I'm working on with Charlie Marlowe, and Shelby's doing a voice in this. The Road to
Mhm.
Cuscotopia, a crossover of a fan-made crossover Thematic, which is like a animated storyboard basically, of The Emperor's New Groove and Road to El Dorado. Currently slated to release December 12th. Hopefully everything works out. The only reason I say hopefully everything works out is I've been a lot of stuff going on that has kept me from working as much as I would like to, but hopefully I can get back on track for that to release in December. You can find me on currently I'm on Facebook. I don't know if I'll be on there forever, but I'm Micah Hirsch. I'm on Blue Sky at podcast TENP. There's the Emperor's New Podcast YouTube channel, which is where the aforementioned crossover will be premiering. There's also Fireblast Studios, where I do animation that's either original or excerpts from podcasts like the Mystery Shack Look Back, for example. I got to animate to Alex Hirsch's voice. That was very fun. Um, I think that's it. So, yeah.
You gotta give us a da-ba-dee-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
That's all, folks.
The era. What up? But nope, not gonna do that.
It would be wild if this was the moment that that your camera decided to start working again.